It is the number of live births occurring during the year per 1,000 population estimated at mid-year. It is at middle of the year, the population that has to be assessed per 1,000 number of live births. Sit down, please. India's birth rate from 2025 is declined by 1.19%. That is declining from 16.55, and that is more than the decline that was 16.75 in 2023. If the crude birth rate falls, will the nation prosper? If the birth rate falls, will the nation progress? Yes or no? No. Yes. You want the population to go up. You want the population to go down. So it has gone down. Are you clear? Crude birth rate should reduce so that we have more access to the resources of our country. If you have to, what is the population now? Population of India? 1.4 billion, 1.46 perhaps. Now about the UN report, it's the trends in maternal mortality in 2000 to 2023 was prepared by World Health Organization, UNICEF, UN Population Fund, World Bank and UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Now this has prepared a data on maternal mortality and highlights the countries with the highest rates of maternal deaths. India has the enlisted here. Nigeria has the highest number of maternal deaths, 75,000, accounting to about 28.7%. Top 4 countries are India, Nigeria, Democratic Republic of Congo and Pakistan, accounting for 47% of the total death. See, China has a population similar to India, but the death rate is much less. See, 1400. Maternal mortality globally has declined by 40% between 2000 and 2023 due to improved healthcare access. COVID-19, we had a lot of deaths because people didn't have access to healthcare. So that was almost 40,000. The global MMR is maternal mortality ratio with 260,000 maternal deaths in 2023. That is one death every 2 minutes. By the time we finish this class, say a 60 minutes class, every 2 minutes one mother has given her life. Think about it. So this is the scenario. The Nigeria has the highest. India and DRC almost same, 19,000, and Pakistan trailing. So woman dies in pregnancy related causes every 2 minutes. So what are we here for? We have to do something, isn't it? Do you agree? Now what is maternal mortality? It remains a critical public health issue in India. It serves as a key indicator of health quality and accessibility. And how do you define maternal death? It is the death of a woman while pregnant or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, irrespective of the duration and site of pregnancy. I mean throughout the pregnancy. Even an ectopic pregnancy, you know what is ectopic pregnancy? Yes? What is ectopic pregnancy? Yeah, so irrespective of the site and duration, the definition shows this. From any cause related to or aggravated by pregnancy or its management, but not from accidental or incidental causes. A person slips and falls or meets with an accident while crossing the road, that will not be included in the maternal death register. Addressing maternal mortality is essential for ensuring the well-being of women and newborns. And so we have to achieve the global health goals. You have to remember this, maternal mortality ratio, it is per lakh live births. Okay, ratio is per lakh live births, and rate is per lakh women of reproductive age group, that is between 15 to 49. Clear? Ratio and rate are not the same. We usually discuss about the ratio in terms of the live births. It is, denominator is per lakh. So it is calculated as the number of maternal deaths in a given period per lakh women of reproductive age groups. This is maternal mortality rate. It measures both obstetric risk and frequency with which women are exposed to this risk. These are the causes. See, hemorrhage. Hemorrhage, when does it occur? In case of an abortion, in case of ectopic pregnancy, in case of molar pregnancy, antepartum hemorrhage, postpartum hemorrhage, all hemorrhage. Then eclampsia, preeclampsia, that is hypertensive disorders, obstructed labor, sepsis, anemia, and the other indirect causes, HIV, tuberculosis, malaria in tropical country like ours. So these are the causes, are due to obstetric complications during different events of pregnancy or its treatment and management. And the causes here are, see, hemorrhage we have discussed, all the causes, preeclampsia, eclampsia, unsafe abortion. I had taken a class on MTP. Did you attend it? We have discussed about safe abortions, safe MTP, that MTP, when it is legalized, it is safe. If it is unsafe, that is, it is a criminal abortion. More chance of death in case of unsafe abortion, sepsis and obstructed labor. So the indirect causes we have discussed. It may be due to the pre-existing diseases. Patient might be having diseases from before that has aggravated during pregnancy or developed during pregnancy. And these are the causes: anemia, hepatitis, heart disease, diabetes, malaria, HIV, tuberculosis. Social factors, age at childbirth. The sooner the woman gets pregnant, it is not good for her. Adolescent age pregnancy is risky. So these see the NFHS, that is National Family Health Service survey, has shown that it was about 23.3% in 21, and that has increased to 26.8. So is it a good thing that the adolescent pregnancy has increased? Is it a good thing or not? At least answer this. No, we don't want pregnancy in an adolescent age group. The child is still growing. So let her grow, attain maturity, and then only she can be healthy enough to take a pregnancy. Any pregnancy coming at this age group is definitely risky. So see, parity, high parity, number of pregnancies, lack of spacing, the interval between two children, if it is less, then there is more chance of risks in pregnancy. Poverty, illiteracy, poor environmental sanitation, and poor communication and referral. And shortage of health manpower, poor obstetric service. 3 phases of service we need in pregnancy: antenatal, intranatal, and postnatal. So this has to be ensured. Incidental factors can be there due to accident, suicide. Will you include this in the maternal mortality rate? If it is an incidental cause, patient has met with an accident and died, Will you include it in the maternal mortality? No, no. But it is difficult, whether she has slipped or someone has pushed her, or due to social reasons she has died. It is difficult to differentiate. That is why the social reasons are there. Maternal morbidity. Every woman who dies, there are 20 to 30 women who are suffering, but who have not died. But they are there to tell the story of their sorrowful story. They are there to tell you so that you can improve upon the pregnancy care for the other patients. Suppose the patient dies, she will not be able to tell you why she died. But if the patient survives that life-threatening condition and she is there to tell you the story, will it be of any help? Will it be of any help to us? Yes or no? If the patient survives, will she tell you how she has survived? So she can be a good educator to us, to tell us how she has suffered and how she has somehow recovered. So that is the tip of an iceberg. You know what is tip of an iceberg? You see the tip, but the ice is below the water level. That is the maternal morbidity. Many women are sick. They have not died, but they are there to teach us what next we can do for the other patients so that they don't meet the same fate. Are you passionate? You have to be passionate about your patients. You just can't let them go and die. As a medical fraternity, you please wake up. Wake up to this situation. So, what is maternal morbidity? Any health condition attributed to or complicating pregnancy and childbirth that has a negative effect on women's well-being and functioning. That is maternal morbidity. So, it can be originating from any cause related to pregnancy, its management during these different phases of pregnancy, antepartum, intrapartum and postpartum, usually 42 days after confinement. And these are the criteria where you will say that the patient is having maternal obstetric morbidities. Temperature is there more than 100.4, blood pressure is high, recurrent vaginal bleeding, hemoglobin less than 10.5, asymptomatic bacteria. So this is maternal near miss. What is near miss? That means she just missed the death. That is maternal near miss. Please be aware of these terms. This is included in your community medicine syllabus also. So it is just not obstetrics, it is social obstetrics which is included. Please follow this. A woman who nearly died, okay, but survived a complication that occurred during pregnancy, childbirth or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy. Common causes are, say, eclampsia, renal failure, DIC, obstetric shock. And how do you calculate? That is the number of maternal near miss per 1,000 live births. Here we don't take into lakhs because the number is more. For one patient who dies, there are 20 to 30 others who are suffering. That is why this calculation is per 1,000. Please remember this. Maternal near miss per 1,000 live births and maternal mortality rate or ratio, it is per lakh. Understood? Any of you can please say what is maternal mortality ratio? Please stand up and say. Maternal mortality ratio is per lakh live births. And ratio is live births and rate is per lakh women of reproductive age group. These you should be able to answer at any point of time without going through your books. Now, this is the severe maternal morbidity. This is the classification, clinical criteria, laboratory criteria, management criteria. So, see, acute cyanosis. Do you understand the meaning of these? Cyanosis, what is cyanosis? Bluish discoloration due to lack of oxygen, gasping. There is breathlessness, shortness of breath, patient is gasping, loss of consciousness with absence of pulse or heartbeat, respiratory rate greater than 40 or less than 6. What is normal respiratory rate? We are sitting here. What is the respiratory rate? Yeah, so it has to either exceed 40 or less than 6. The patient, what are the criteria where we can stamp the patient that this is a maternal near miss? Patient may have survived, but she could have died. Do you understand this thing? She has survived, but by somehow, by management or by sheer luck, she has survived. Stroke, shock. Stroke is loss of consciousness due to reduced cerebral blood flow. Shock, uncontrollable paralysis, oliguria, jaundice, clotting failure. And these are the laboratory criteria. Oxygen saturation less than 90 for more than 1 hour. pH less than 7.1. This PaO2, FiO2 ratio less than 200. That is partial oxygen, arterial oxygen by the fractional oxygen and the inspired air. The air that we breathe in, what amount of oxygen is going into our arterial blood? That fraction, if it is less than 200, it is critical. Have you attended the anesthesia class right now? Right? So these things are more detailed in your anesthesia classes, but these are all critical things. Lactate more than 5, creatinine 3.5. Normally, what is the creatinine level? Less than 0.5. So this is 3.5. Thrombocytopenia less than 50,000 platelets, bilirubin more than 6 milligram, and loss of consciousness and presence of glucose and keto acids. The management criteria also has criteria. Continuous use of vasoactive drugs. To start the heart, you might be using adrenaline, vasoactive drugs, intubation and ventilation for 60 minutes, or patient has undergone a hysterectomy. She was bleeding so much that a hysterectomy had to be done, say after a cesarean section or after severe PPH. The uterus had to be sacrificed. These are all conditions where it will come up to morbidity, severe morbidity, maternal morbidity. Dialysis for acute renal failure, transfusion of more than 5 units of PRBC, and cardiopulmonary resuscitation given. These are the criteria you have to keep in mind, and see, one from each criteria, if it is present, that is 3 in all, it can be stamped as M&M case, that is maternal near miss patient. So this is Government of India guideline. One from each category, clinical, laboratory and management. The chart that I have shown you before, one from each of these category. So this is about just summing up: hemorrhage, hypertension, neurologic factors, renal factors, sepsis, lung, pulmonary factors, cardiac, ICU admission, surgical complications, patient undergoing hysterectomy, anesthetic complications, all this sum up to severe maternal morbidity. What are the results of this morbidity? It may be just temporary, like APH, PPH, eclampsia, obstructed labor, rupture uterus. This will go with this pregnancy only. But what will remain? The permanent morbidities, that is vesicovaginal fistula. Patient has had an obstructed labor, she is having a fistula now. Vesicovaginal fistula. Prolonged labor, unattended labor, obstructed labor may result in this VVF or rectovaginal fistula, dyspareunias, complete perineal tear, prolapse, secondary subfertility, obstetric palsy. She might be having lower limb palsy, paralysis, Sheehan syndrome. If a patient bleeds too much, the anterior pituitary hormones may be lost. So these are the things. She will have permanent morbidities, and indirect, of course, certain expression of certain pre-existing diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, anemia. So these were there and they are aggravated during pregnancy. Are you getting my message? Now about the spontaneous abortion or miscarriage. When do you say it is a miscarriage? Any idea? When will you say a patient has undergone a miscarriage? We have discussed during MTP that it has to be terminated before the period of viability. So any spontaneous loss before the period of viability. See, this is a miscarriage up to 20 weeks or 22 weeks. It differs from country to country, or weighing about 500 grams. This is miscarriage. After 22, this is early gestational stillbirth. Stillbirth is loss beyond the period of viability, and miscarriage is before the period of viability. What does it mean? That baby would have survived if it was born, say, beyond 24 weeks. Usually we stamp stillbirth from 28 weeks. That is 28 weeks or 1 kg birth weight. Usually this baby will survive. But before that, that is 20 weeks and 500 grams, this fetus will not survive ex utero. If the baby is born, the baby will not survive. The fetus will not survive. So this is miscarriage. Are you understanding the difference? Stillbirth is from the point 28 weeks onwards, and miscarriage is before 20 weeks, before the period of viability. 500 grams or below, and stillbirth is 28 weeks and beyond. Okay. And what is early neonatal death or perinatal death? Perinatal mortality means from 28th week of pregnancy to 1 week after delivery. This is the perinatal period. This is the perinatal period. Okay, so it's more than 28 weeks and first 7 days of birth. That is early neonate. You have to define this in your community medicine, practicals or theory, whatever. These definitions are very, very important. You have to remember it throughout your life. So this is early neonatal death, and beyond that is late neonatal death. That is 7 days to 27 days. Neonate means up to 28 days of birth. Okay, early neonate is first 7 days. And who is an infant? Any idea about what is an infant? Who is an infant? 1 year. That is an infant. So why we are bothered more about perinatal mortality? Because this is at the time of birth. If the pregnancy was not good, the perinatal outcome will also be not good, fair. Understand, if the mother is not having a healthy pregnancy, we might lose the baby, or the baby might be too sick. This is perinatal morbidity and mortality. So what is perinatal mortality? One of you get up, please. Just now we have repeated so many times. What is perinatal mortality? It is the death. Someone from the back, please. Nice to sit up, huddle there, but are you listening? Perinatal mortality, it is between 1 week of delivery, or I have said 1000 grams. 1000 grams in birth weight and crown heel length of 35 centimeters. So this is a very sensitive index of the quality of care that we give to the mother during her pregnancy. If the mother is healthy, the neonate will be healthy. If the baby dies at say 30 weeks, there is a IUFD, intrauterine fetal death at 30 weeks. Is it a perinatal death? Yes or no? At 30 weeks of pregnancy, yes. Baby has died at 26 weeks. No. So that is a miscarriage. What is a miscarriage and what is a stillbirth? You have to differentiate between these two. Now the current PNMR, that is PNMR means perinatal mortality rate, is 48 in India. Kerala has it at 15 per 1000. Why? Why Kerala has a lower PMNR? Why do you think? They are more active. They are more sensitive to the health indices, isn't it? So we can also move up to it. So this is the perinatal mortality rate. It is projected, it is in 2025, we want it to happen at 32 per 1000 births. Now this is per 1000 total births, not live births. It will be live births plus stillbirths, total births per 1000 total births. Perinatal mortality and stillbirths. The numerator will be the number of perinatal deaths by 1000 total deaths. Total deaths means, total deaths include what? Total deaths means live births plus deaths, stillbirths. Total births have to be included. Understood? This is the difference. This is a survey showing how the perinatal mortality is more in certain states of our country and less in some others. And the reasons are, see, the same reasons that we have for maternal mortality and morbidity. See, low socioeconomic status, illiteracy, teenage pregnancy, high maternal age, poor antenatal care, malnutrition, anemia, and the causes can be also classified as per antepartum, intrapartum and postpartum. The important among these are prematurity, perinatal asphyxia, low birth weight and infections. This is affecting the fetus. And the causes are these: perinatal asphyxia, see the pie diagram, most important is 35%. This is due to, what is the cause? Cause of perinatal mortality, what is the cause? This one, largest quantity is due to prematurity. Can you see the pie diagram? The prematurity is the most common cause. Now abortion I have already defined. So it is as pregnancy termination prior to 20 weeks gestation or less than 500 grams birth weight. Abortion can be of these types: threatened, inevitable, incomplete and complete. This is spontaneous. Nature has caused it. It is not induced or medical termination. Induced may be MTP or criminal. Threatened means the process of miscarriage has started, but it has not gone to completion and there is a chance of continuation of pregnancy. Suppose the patient comes with spotting. She is having small amounts of bleeding and she goes through pregnancy fine. That is threatened. And inevitable is there is a partial expulsion of the process of abortion has gone to such an extent that it is this pregnancy is bound to abort. This is inevitable. And incomplete is partial expulsion has been done and partially the product of conception has retained. That is incomplete. And complete is complete expulsion of the product of conception. This is spontaneous abortion and induced abortion. This we have discussed. This also discussed. Now, stillbirth rate we are discussing at beyond 28 weeks per 1,000 total births. Now, what is maternal mortality audit? Why do we do audit? We want to find out the reason why the mother has died so that we can improve upon our care. Isn't it? Why do we do this audit? It is a systematic in-depth review of maternal deaths to identify the underlying factors and learn from them to prevent future deaths. To improve the quality of care and reduce avoidable deaths by understanding the causes and factors contributing to maternal mortality. This is community-based, facility-based or combination. That is, this is done in such a way that if there is a death in the hospital, a mother dies, okay, now how will you find out how the mother has died? People will keep mum, they will not say. Why? Because they fear that you will have something against them. You will sue them or you will put them to jail, whatever. So people out of fear, they don't disclose the reason, the real reason. So we have to tell them that we will not punish you for any reason that has occurred, but we want to find out the reason, find out the gap where the patient has died, why the patient has died. So this is very important. Audit doesn't mean just go and hang the doctor. It is not that. You have to study the whole course of events. Now, you identify the number of deaths, notify them and find out the reasons why it has occurred, but please don't blame anyone. If you blame, then the people will not disclose the real reason. Are you getting my point? This is the audit cycle. The identification of deaths, data collection and interviews. Interviews when you go about and asking the people around. Ask our family members, ask the hospital staff, ask the neighborhood people. Find out the real cause. Maybe there was delay in bringing her to hospital, delay in making a decision that she needs to go to the hospital. Then she has not come to the hospital on time. And after she has come also, there might be delay. Please, you can discuss things later. Pay attention here. You have to analyze the findings, recommendations and actions, evaluation and refinement. So the delays occur at every step. Her family members did not bring her. The family members did bring her, but the hospital didn't attend. Hospital did attend, but the emergency care was not present. She was not referred on time. Maybe that hospital is not suitable enough to take care of her. So these are the ifs and buts where the patient has lost her life. Please have some passion for these patients. They have taught you, they have taught me, and they will teach the future doctors to be. Please, please have some sympathy, empathy for these patients who have given their lives to teach us. Don't be so indifferent. Okay, the mother has died. She is now no one to me. She is definitely someone to me. She was someone's mother. She was someone's wife. She has died. And she has died to teach us where we can bring in the necessary changes so that we can make this mother survive. These changes are preventable. We can prevent. Why not prevent? The young generation, the young doctors should come forward, please. So these are the surveillance of maternal mortality and morbidity. Ensure that all the deaths are identified and discussed. Assign a cause. Determine any lack of care. Determine social and environmental nutritional risk factors, the possible modifiable risk factors, and maternal near miss review. All those patients who had survived, they are the good teachers, you know. They will be able to tell you why she has suffered so much. Maybe we will learn and prevent other sufferings and prevent other deaths. This maternal near miss review is very, very important. They survived life-threatening conditions. She had gone for a criminal abortion. No one took care of her. She died. She didn't die, but she suffered. So she will be able to tell you why she suffered. If she had died, there would be no one to tell you. So please have some empathy for the patients who die and patients who suffer. We only learn from them. This is a perinatal and maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response. There's a WHO guide. This is how the whole guidelines are given. You can go through when you study in details about it. And this is the maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response cycle. So this is the identify the deaths, report deaths, review deaths, and response action. You find out the reason. You try to implement that. This is the whole cycle. This is just not for fun, just not for getting some votes like politicians. It is for us to come back to, you might have made a mistake. We all make mistakes. In obstetrics, we all make mistakes because of lack of knowledge, lack of experience. But why not learn? A mother dies, and here we have to learn from that death. Are you getting this feeling? Please feel for the patient. Feel for that lady who has given her life for us to teach and learn from her. So this is, see, important points are no disciplinary action is to be initiated against any of the service providers. This has to be ensured. Otherwise, people will not open their mouth. Understood? So you have to give them immunity, legal immunity, that we will not punish you. You just tell us what happened. It will be a very confidential analysis. Do not find any blame or find fault with anybody. I just identify the gaps. This primary promise has to be clearly stated. Then only the different states will give you the report. Otherwise, what will they do? They will hush up. 5 maternal deaths, they will say no, 1 has died. You have to tell them that there is no fear. Please come up and discuss why the mother has died. Unless you tell them that you will not be punished, people will never come up and say what has happened actually. So these are the guidelines of maternal death surveillance response. So how we can improve? So these are the areas: good health, nutrition, learning, education, security and safety, supportive environment, responsive relationship, and realization of personal autonomy and resilience. So individual level you can help from the family. It can go to the health service level, that is all this care to be delivered for antenatal, internatal, postnatal care, decentralization of services, delivery by trained birth attendants, referral system, emergency care, prevention of unwanted pregnancies. This is very, very important. One who wants to abort, please give her the security and safety of MTP, safe abortion services, and regular health education and program among service providers, acceptors, and community training. So community level things are also important. Regular health education, proper communication, road transport facilities, safe drinking water supply and sanitation, removal of harmful taboos. Indian society is full of taboos, myths, whatever things they do, Maybe they do not do it deliberately. They are feeling that this is the right thing. Those things are not right. That has to be curbed. Policymakers should be brought into action, and of course the professional body, that is our body, we have to come also in the forefront. Global strategies have been taken, international safe motherhood programs, all these programs were taken by the World WHO, UNFPA, United Nations Family, the Fund Population, United Nations Fund for Population Activity. All the world global strategies have been there to improve upon maternal mortality. The World Bank, UNICEF, national strategies are the family planning program, RCH programs, SDGs were initiated, and the Lakshya has been initiated at 2017. So these are the national programs, institutional deliveries, Janani Suraksha Yojana, Janani Shishu Suraksha Karyakram, Pradhan Mantri Surakkita Matritva Vigyan, extended PMSA, Shumon, Lakshya. All the these interventions have improved our situation. So other interventions are also there. In the Millennium Development Goals, we have 3-pronged strategies. Family planning has to be ensured, skill attendant at birth, and emergency obstetric care. This is very, very important. So these are the things: assisted vaginal delivery, manual removal of placenta, neonatal resuscitation, and pre-eclampsia and eclampsia. And basic comprehensive emergency care, cesarean section facility, and blood bank facility. In the remote villages, remote areas, outreach areas, if you have blood banks, you can save life. If you have cesarean section facilities, you can save life. Here, the most unattended pregnancies and births occur. These are the Millennium Development Goals, and see these 5: improve maternal health. This was about maternal health and neonatal health. So the target was to reduce MMR to 70 per lakh. This is the target of SDG by United Nations by 2030. What is now? What is the maternal mortality rate now? It is running around 93 now in 2021 study. So this is by 2030, this is the goal set. And India has accomplished this, that is less than 100 per lakh by 2020. This has been accomplished. So these are the targets of Millennium Development Goals, means by 2000. 2000 was the millennium year. These were the goals set, and reducing MMR by 75% between 90 to 2015. This was the target. Target were to reduce MMR and reduce the skilled birth attendant at birth should be present, and achieving universal access to reproductive health. If you don't allow termination at facilities legally considered, you will create problems for the patients. So we have contraceptive prevalence rate should be increased, adolescent birth rate should be reduced, antenatal coverage should be increased, and unmet need for family planning should be addressed. So these were the Sustainable Development Goals. We are talking about this one, good health and well-being. This is the SDG 3. What are the targets? See, reduce maternal mortality to 70 per lakh by 2030. This is the target. And reduce neonatal mortality less than 12 per 1,000. And under 5 mortality to less than 25. We have somewhat achieved that. Some of the states in India, the maternal mortality has reduced. Kerala 20, Maharashtra 38. See, it is less than 70. So target was 70 per lakh. They have reached. Neonatal mortality, the target was 12. See, they have reached. Kerala, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal. 12 and less than 12. So these targets have already been reached. But what about the other states? So as a country we have not been able to, but few states have done it. See, the maternal mortality ratio is dipping from 130 in 2014 to 97 in 2020 and 93 as per the National Family Health Survey. This has come down to 93 now. It is per lakh. Okay, this is MMR ratio per lakh. What will it be? Per lakh live births. Ratio is live births. So the denominator is live births. Per lakh live births. And rate is per lakh reproductive women. The world trend has also gone down. So this is the maternal mortality rate in India. It is dipping. By 2030, this is the target. Bring it to 70. Institutional deliveries have increased from 79 to 89, from 2015-16 to 19-21. Neonatal mortality, what was the target? Target is, what is the neonatal? Who is the neonate? First define neonate. 20 days. So this has reduced from 26 to 19. And what was the target? To bring it down to 12. SDG goal was 12. So this has come down, but we are yet to reach the target. Some states have reached. I've shown you the states. Infant mortality rate. Infant means under 1 year. See, this has also reduced, 39 to 28. Per 1,000 live births. This is per 1,000. Only maternal mortality is per lakh. All rest are per 1,000. And all are live births except for perinatal mortality and stillbirths. That is total births. Per 1,000 total births. Under 5 mortality, the target is 25. So we have reached 31 in 2021. This has to go down to 25 by 2030. So these are the SDG targets they have reached. See, it is to be less than 25. All the states have reached, including West Bengal. Under 5 mortality means children under 5. It is not so much under our domain, but it is a good indicator of health. So India's progress has been due to government initiatives and regional variations. And see, the maternal mortality ratio has also dipped, neonatal mortality ratio has dropped, and infant mortality ratio has also declined. And compared to the global reduction, you see the India's reduction is much more. See, 83% compared to global reduction of 42 in case of MMR. Neonatal MMR has reduced 65%. We have reduced much because we were not at a very comfortable position before. Now the situation has improved. The global reduction has been surpassed by India. Do you understand this? The reduction is more, but we are yet to reach the goal. So this is how India is going about, and this is the theme: healthy beginnings and hopeful futures. This is the World Health Day theme: strengthening Indian healthcare for a resilient future. This was posted on 6th of April 2025. This was by the Government of India. World Health, this is the theme: healthy beginnings and hopeful future. Please remember it. Thank you. See, you've got enough information here which will be helpful for your community medicine as well as for your social obstetrics in gynae obs. This class was at a junction and it has been suitably selected for you so that you have the benefit of both.